I've been lurking on this sub for years, soaking up advice, celebrating your wins, and quietly cheering myself on through my own financial journey. Never thought I'd post, but here I am, spilling my guts because I did something big, something I still can't quite wrap my head around. I paid off the last $42,000 of our mortgage as a gift to my wife after getting a promotion. It's been a wild ride, and I need to get this off my chest. Buckle up, because I'm about to dump the whole story, every messy, emotional human detail. I'm 34, married to my high school sweetheart, Sarah, and we've got 2 kids, 6 and 3. We're not fancy people. We live in a modest 3-bedroom house in a smallish town in Ohio, where the cost of living isn't insane, but still bites if you're not careful. Our house was a fixer-upper we bought 7 years ago for $185,000. It needed new plumbing, a roof that didn't leak, and a kitchen that didn't look like it was stuck in 1972. We scraped together a 10% down payment, mostly from savings, and a small inheritance from my grandpa, and took out a 30-year mortgage at 4.1% interest. Monthly payments were about $150, which felt like a mountain back then. Sarah's a part-time nurse, and I've been working as a logistics coordinator for a mid-sized manufacturing company. My job was stable, but not exactly a gold mine. Starting salary was $48,000, and by last year, I was at $62,000 after a few raises. We've always been frugal, not because we're saints, but because we had to be. Kids are expensive, daycare was a nightmare, and we had some credit card debt from early in our marriage, about $8,000 at its peak, mostly from medical bills and dumb decisions. This sub helped us get serious about budgeting. We started using YNAB in 2019, cut out eating out, and paid off that credit card debt by 2021. It felt like a huge win, but the mortgage always loomed over us like a dark cloud. The idea of paying off the house early was a pipe dream for years. We'd throw an extra $100 or $200 at the principal when we could. Tax refunds, a small work bonus, that kind of thing, but it barely made a dent. By early 2024, we'd chipped away about $15,000 of the principal, but we still owed $42,000. It felt like we'd be paying it forever. Sarah and I would lie in bed at night, crunching numbers, dreaming about what it'd be like to be debt-free. She'd say things like, "Imagine not having to send Wells Fargo a check every month." I'd laugh and say, "Yeah, we could finally take the kids to Disney." But it always felt so far away. Then, last summer, everything changed. I'd been at my company for 8 years, grinding away, taking on extra projects, covering shifts, and generally being the guy who says yes to everything. My boss, Mike, kept hinting that a senior logistics manager position was opening up. It was a big step. More responsibility, some travel, but also a serious pay bump. I applied, not expecting much. I mean, I'm not a flashy guy. I don't have an MBA or a corner office personality. I'm just steady, you know? But I guess that's what they wanted. In August, Mike called me into his office and said I got the job. New salary, $92,000, plus a $5,000 signing bonus. I almost fell out of my chair. I didn't tell Sarah right away, not because I wanted to hide it, but because I wanted to process it. I drove home that day in a daze, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. We'd been so careful with money for so long, and now I was looking at a raise that could change everything. That night, I sat in our garage after the kids were asleep, staring at the mortgage statement on my phone. Balance, $42,136.27. I did the math. My signing bonus, plus some savings we'd built up, $3,000 in an emergency fund, another $2,000 in a house repair fund, and a little extra from my next few paychecks could cover it. we could pay off the house. But here's where it gets messy. I didn't just want to pay it off. I wanted it to be a gift for Sarah. She's been the rock of our family. When our youngest had RSV and was in the hospital for a week, she was there every night while I worked. When we were drowning in credit card debt, she picked up extra shifts, even though she was exhausted. She's the one who made our budget work, who said no to things she wanted so we could keep our heads above water. I wanted to do something big for her, something that said, "I see you and I'm so grateful." Paying off the mortgage felt like the ultimate way to do that. I didn't tell her my plan. That was probably dumb, but I wanted it to be a surprise. I spent the next 2 months quietly moving money around. I cashed out the signing bonus, pulled from our savings, leaving just $1,000 in the emergency fund, which made me nervous, and redirected every extra cent from my new paychecks. I told Sarah the raise was decent, but didn't mention the exact number. She's so trusting, she didn't push. By October, I had $40,500 ready to go. I called the bank, confirmed the payoff process, and set a date to make the final payment. November 15th, our 10th wedding anniversary. Planning the surprise was the hardest part. I'm not a sneaky guy. Sarah knows when I'm up to something because I get all fidgety. I told her I was planning a special anniversary dinner at home, which wasn't a lie, but it was only half the truth. I spent weeks stressing over how to tell her. Should I print out the mortgage payoff confirmation and put it in a card? Should I just blurt it out? What if she got mad that I didn't tell her about the raise or the plan? I was a nervous wreck, second-guessing myself constantly. November 15th rolled around, and I was a mess. I took the day off work, drove to the bank, and made the final payment in person. Watching the teller stamp "paid in full" on the paperwork felt surreal. I kept waiting for someone to say, "Just kidding, you owe another $10,000. But it was real. I drove home with the payoff letter in my glove box, my heart pounding. That night, I cooked Sarah's favorite dinner, chicken parm, which I'm terrible at but tried my best, and we put the kids to bed early. I set up candles on our dining room table, poured some cheap wine, and handed her an envelope. She looked at me like I was nuts. "What's this? You didn't buy me jewelry, did you? We can't afford that." I just grinned and told her to open it. She pulled out the payoff letter, read it, and froze. Like, completely still. I thought she was going to cry, but she just stared at me and said, "Is this real?" I nodded, and then she did cry. A big, messy, happy sob. She threw her arms around me, and we just stood there in our tiny dining room hugging like idiots. She kept saying, "We're free. We're actually free." But here's the part I didn't expect. I cried too. I'm not a crier. I didn't even cry at our wedding. But standing there, realizing we didn't owe anyone anything anymore, it hit me hard. All those years of scraping by, of saying no to vacations, of fixing our own leaky pipes because we couldn't afford a plumber. It was over. We did it. Together. Of course, Sarah being Sarah, she had questions. "How did you pull this off? Where did the money come from? Why didn't you tell me?" I fessed up about the raise, the signing bonus, and my secret plan. She was a little mad I kept it from her, but mostly she was just overwhelmed. We stayed up until 2 a.m., talking about what this meant. No more mortgage payments, no more debt. We could rebuild our savings, maybe take that Disney trip, maybe even start college funds for the kids. It felt like we'd unlocked a new level of life. It's been a few months now, and I'm still getting used to it. Our bank account looks weird without that $1,050 payment going out every month. We're not rich. My raise helps. but we're still careful. We've started putting $500 a month into savings, like a luxury, and it feels like. Sarah's already planning a budget for a new couch. Ours is literally held together with duct tape. The kids don't get it yet, but they keep asking when we're going to Mickey's house, so I guess Disney's happening next summer. I'm sharing this because this sub gave me the tools to make it happen. Reading your posts about paying off debt, sticking to budgets, and celebrating small wins kept me going. I'm not saying it was easy. There were months we fought about money, nights I stayed up worrying we'd never get ahead. And yeah, I probably should have told Sarah my plan from the start. Pro tip: don't surprise your spouse with big financial moves. But standing in our paid-off house, watching her smile, knowing we did this together, it's the best thing I've ever done. If you're still grinding through debt, keep going. It's worth it. And if you've got a partner who's in it with you, tell them you love them. I didn't realize how much Sarah carried until I saw her face that night. We're not perfect, but we're free. TLDR. Got a promotion? Use the raise and bonus to pay off the last $42,000 of our mortgage as a surprise anniversary gift for my wife. It was emotional, messy, and the best thing I've ever done. We're debt-free, and it feels unreal. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for the kind words, everyone. To answer a few questions. Yes, we're rebuilding our emergency fund, aiming for 6 months' expenses. No, I don't regret surprising her, but I won't hide big money moves again. And for the person who asked about the chicken parm, it was edible, barely.